Picture this. You own one of the biggest film studios in the world, like genuinely one of the biggest. You can greenlight anything, work with anyone, make whatever you want. So here's the question. If you wanted to make a film with the best possible shot at actually succeeding, who would you call? Most people would probably say Christopher Nolan, and honestly, fair enough. The guy's name on a poster is basically a guarantee that a certain chunk of people will show up no matter what. Or maybe you'd go the franchise route, a sequel, a reboot, a spin-off. You know the drill, massive budget, A-list cast, billboards everywhere, trailers dropping every other week, the whole machine running at full speed. And you'd sit back thinking, this one's going to print money, except it doesn't always work out like that. Hollywood is full of films that had everything, the budget, the stars, the marketing, and still walked away losing money. Because here's the thing nobody really talks about. Making a great film and getting people to actually show up are two completely different problems. And that second one gets harder every single year. So if you're running a studio, what you're really hunting for, more than talent, more than a good script, is this. People who are already waiting, a built-in audience, people who don't need to be convinced, people who are going to show up on opening weekend, whether you spend $50 million on marketing or $5. And this is where the story gets genuinely interesting. Because there's a way to find exactly that kind of audience that has nothing to do with Oscars, nothing to do with famous names, nothing to do with any of the usual Hollywood machinery. You just open YouTube, scroll around, find a weird channel, click on a short video, check the view count, or you can feel your jaw drop a little, click on the next one, then the next, and before you know it, you're 20 minutes deep into a rabbit hole, realizing that millions of people have been obsessively following a story that doesn't even have a film yet. That's exactly what happened with a teenage kid named Kane Parsons. He started making short horror videos based on a creepy internet legend called Backrooms, these endless, wrong-feeling yellow corridors that exist just beyond the edges of reality. The videos blew up. Then the fan theory started. Then thousands of people started making their own videos, analyzing every detail. And what started as one kid's YouTube project slowly, quietly became something much bigger than that. It became a franchise before anyone greenlit a single frame. And that's the moment studios started paying attention. Because think about what A24 actually bought when they came to Kane Parsons with a $10 million budget. They weren't just buying a concept. They weren't just buying a scary aesthetic. They were buying an audience that already existed. People who already knew this world, already cared about it, already had opinions about it, and were already desperate to see what it looked like on a real cinema screen. The hardest part of making a successful film, already done. Someone else handled it on YouTube for free. And if you think A24 was just betting on an internet trend, the numbers tell a different story. Backrooms was made for under $10 million, and in its opening weekend alone, it broke A24's all-time box office record, an opening that most films with budgets several times larger never even come close to hitting. And that was just the beginning. Kane Parsons, the same kid who a few years earlier was making videos in his bedroom for YouTube, had just become the youngest filmmaker ever to hit #1 at the US box office. The film crossed $100 million in its first week worldwide, then kept going, past $250 million. But maybe the most important part of the story is this. Backrooms wasn't just a successful film, it was proof. Proof that the millions of people who had been following this world on YouTube for years were willing to pay to see it on a cinema screen too. A24 didn't just buy a film, they bought an audience that already existed. And that changes everything. Okay, but here's where the story gets really wild because if you think Backrooms was the strangest thing Hollywood decided to take seriously, you haven't heard of Skibidi Toilet? And look, if you tried to pitch this concept to a Hollywood executive 5 years ago, they would have thought you were pranking them. It started in 2023. A YouTuber named Alexei Gerasimov, better known online as Dafook, posted a short, bizarre video, human heads coming out of toilets, singing the Skibidi song. On the surface, it made absolutely no sense. No real story, no complex characters. It wasn't supposed to be anything more than a weird internet joke. But here's what most people don't know about Alexei. This wasn't some random guy who got lucky with a weird idea. He'd spent years building real skills, music videos, animation, composing, directing, and he had one very specific superpower, a piece of software called SFM, a game engine built by Valve. Most people who use it are good at it. Alexei was operating at a level that made even the people who built the software take notice. So when that first weird video hit, he knew exactly what to do with the attention. He didn't stop. He built a world. Each episode racked up millions of views, then tens of millions, then hundreds of millions. And before anyone really processed what was happening, Skibidi Toilet had become one of the biggest phenomena in YouTube history. Billions of views, tens of millions of subscribers, nearly 80 episodes, and a fan base that didn't just watch, they waited. They counted down. If an episode dropped even a day late, the comment section looked like a hostage negotiation. But the view counts aren't even the most interesting part, because slowly something bigger started forming around it. A war between the Skibidis and the cameramen, then the speaker men, then the TV men, new characters, new alliances, betrayals, massive battles, and thousands of fan theories trying to make sense of all of it. Entire channels grew to millions of views just by analyzing what was happening in this world. Fan art, fan games, parallel universes, built by the community themselves. Skibidi Toilet had crossed a line. It wasn't a meme anymore. It was becoming a real IP. And that's exactly what studios dream about. Then the bigger moves started happening. Major companies got involved. Toys were produced. Licensing deals were signed, plans started forming to expand this world into books, narrative products, all kinds of things. And then the big news dropped. Skibidi Toilet film and TV projects entered development. Michael Bay's name got attached. Yeah, the same guy behind the Transformers franchise for 2 decades. Some reports came out. Some rumors got denied. Some details stayed murky. But one thing was completely clear, Hollywood wasn't ignoring this. And honestly, if you were in their position, would you? Think about it. On one hand, you've got a project where you need to spend hundreds of millions of dollars just convincing people to care. On the other hand, you've got a world that's already been watched billions of times, that already has millions of fans, that already has thousands of people creating content about it every single day, that an entire generation has basically grown up with. Would you really walk past that? Or would you be trying to figure out how to get that audience into a movie theater? Maybe that's exactly why the strangest internet ideas are becoming the most serious Hollywood projects. Because what studios are actually looking at isn't a singing toilet or a yellow corridor. They're looking at millions of people who already care. And maybe that's the most important shift happening in Hollywood right now. It's not just films that find audiences anymore. Sometimes the audience forms first, and then Hollywood comes looking for them. And Backrooms and Skibidi Toilet, they're not even the strangest ones. There are filmmakers whose stories are so weird, so unexpected, that honestly, they deserve their own video, and that's exactly what's coming next. If you want to be there when it drops, you know what to do.